Hi, and welcome back to my channel. This video is all about the inherited skill from Shura job class, the Dragon Scale, and the Transcendence passive skills. In this video, I will showcase these two passive skills, show how it works, and perform an effectiveness test on PvP field scenario, and see if it is worth it to unlock Shura job and invest for these two passive skills. Now, without further ado, let's begin. First off, let's review the effects and mechanics of these passive skills. The Transcendence. This passive skill at level 1 provides an effect that removes all abnormal status effects every 24 seconds and grants immunity to abnormal status once every 24 seconds. And at level 10, the cooldown is reduced from 24 down to every 15 seconds. This effect will remove all abnormal status effect. And these are the list of statuses that can be removed, and you can find all kinds of abnormal status effects on the Traveler's Note at Adventure Guide page. The Dragon Scale passive skill at level 1. This effect provides an effect that when receiving magical attacks, there is a 0.5% chance to reflect the magic damage back to the attacker, and increasing 0.5% magic reduction. And at level 10, the effect provides a 5% chance of magical reflect and 5% magic reduction increase effect. And this is how the Transcendence passive skill buff looks like on the buff panel. Now, let's proceed to PvP field test and see how it works and its effectiveness. Now the abnormal status buff immunity lasts for 15 seconds, and the abnormal buff removal effect resets every 15 seconds, and the cycle will not be interrupted. Both duration and the cooldown shares the countdown. Like for example, you were inflicted with an abnormal status at 5 seconds remaining. The abnormal status will be removed after 5 seconds, since it's already at the 5 seconds remaining of the 15-second cycle. Also, the buff icon will be gone right after the buff effect had deflected one abnormal status. Now, let's come to the Dragon Scale's passive effect. Let's try to trigger the additional magic damage reduction effect and the 5% magic attack damage reflect passive effect. Now the 5% triggerable chance is quite too low, and we should not expect too much about the triggerable effect, but still, let us see how it goes against a one-on-one scenario. The additional magic reduction buff effect was added to the magic defense percentage value stat, and it added a plus 25% on my magical defense stat. And the buff also lasted for 8 seconds, and as what we see, the buff effect took too long before I managed to trigger it. But maybe if you received a lot of magical attacks in some situations, like receiving a bunch of magical attacks on the GVG scenarios, the 5% chance buff effect might and will become frequent.
Now,
Let's try to trigger the 5% chance of reflecting magical attacks effect and see how much damage percentage would it return to the attacker, since the Dragon Scale passive skill did not mention about how much magic damage would it return to the attacker. Now, as what we can see here, the reflect effect of the Dragon Scale passive skill had reflected 100% of the magical attack damage received back to the attacker. And this is quite great since you also have a chance of returning the received lethal magic damage back to the attacker. And even if it is just a little 5% chance to reflect, still at least we have a chance to give the attacker the taste of its own magical damage. Just like the increased magic reduction effect chance, the reflect effect might become frequent if receiving multiple magical attacks from different attackers, and at least it can reflect a magical damage from random attacker. A chance to severe one attacker out of 5 or more is already fine. And this passive skill might be also better when used by a tough job class, such as archbishops and royal guards. And that's all of it for this video, and thank you for watching.